money is a tool to get to your ends. It's not to die with the most money.
I agree.
Right? I mean, if you do it right,
I agree.
Like my dad always wanted to, like the last check he wrote, he wanted it to bounce. Like, he ended up there. And he said, yeah, I think you're correct, check. I'm not going to speak ill of my father. But, and I didn't mean to be right. Oh, no, I get it. You knew my dad. I would go with the reverse mortgage. And the cost is going to, for that cost is going to bother you. But the alternatives are, what are the alternatives? Continue your current lifestyle. Get to 6 years from now. You're 75. You've now got excess cash flow. Perfect. You can enjoy it. I would look at
take that $2,500 savings every month and bank it, or
just stop taking the distributions from the IRA.
yeah,
Or convert a little to a Roth. Or convert a little to a Roth. But that's, I would look at that line of credit, the 91,000. Don't touch it. It grows every year. Yeah. I would ignore it for a decade. Let it just keep growing. It's going to be worth, maybe you'll never need it, but I would use that for, it is, 20 grand, it would, I don't like the thought of you spending the next 6 years having the majority of your money hanging down a loan.
I know. You're right.
No one knows, I mean,
That's why I call.
you know what I mean? If you were 49 at this, oh, you have to figure it out, but like, and you're not buying a loan. Your current lifestyle. Yeah, well, Matt's with us now, and we're having a conversation with Matt, so welcome back to the show, Matt.
Well, good morning. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so what did you end up doing?
I took your advice. Scott kind of put together my life. I took your advice. We entered into this exercise of reverse mortgage. We really didn't have any choice insofar as expenses were taken in on us also benefit our savings. As you and we discussed back in May, we really didn't have any choice.
Because one of the qualifiers was you were staying in that house. So I've got to believe you and your wife love the house, love the community, it is a part of your life. And then, because my wife and our house have been in 17 years, she has zero desire to ever leave the house. That's, I'm the same way. This is my house. I've been there 25 years, and so, you know, in listening to that clip, it brought back some angst for me, because until I listened to that clip, I didn't, I had forgotten about the call, but when I listened to it, I remember how I felt in the moment when you were telling us the story, which was, there was no easy way out. There was not a quick decision. There was some deliberation that went into that.
There was some deliberation. We've been in the house for 2 years. We're about 69 years old. And we put so much into this house when we bought it. And it's in a great neighborhood. It has all the amenities that we want. There's something fancy. It's a 22 square foot house, but it's on a half acre, and it's got all the amenities. It's got everything that we want to make us happy in our lifetime.
Yes.
So, what else I can say? The only thing that we really had a hard time with was understanding finances behind what it's going to cost us.
Yeah, how did that all shake out?
I'm sorry?
How did it shake out? What did you end up doing? What were the numbers behind it? How much?
Rough and dirty, it was pretty pricey. It cost us over $20,000 in equity, but you know that comes down to how much of that equity was fake equity. I call it fake equity, based upon inflation. The house has been going up steadily all along, so we did have to pay a 2% origination fee. And then we have to pay a monthly of $100-something to FHA.
Yes. To insure the loan.
If you guarantee the loan. But we get to stay in the house the rest of our lives.
You know, so did you get the $197,000 $100,000 to pay off, and how much money did you get on the line of credit?
I got about 100,000 on line of credit.
Okay, pretty close to the numbers. And gee, you know,
And that line of credit, that'll continue to grow every year that you're not using it? Does it still work that way?
Correct. It does still grow. It grows at 8% right now.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was surprised. I just got the statement yesterday and looking it over. So, although it costs us a lot to initiate it, and they wrap all the closing costs into the loan.
That's right.
Anything in pocket. But, yeah, before I forgot to tell you, they set out an appraiser. The appraiser came in months after the house value, which was accurate. Well, the underwriter didn't like that number because it was too high. So they sent their own appraiser up and came in with a lower appraiser. So we decided on a number in between. So.
Oh, so, you know, I've done this with some people that have called the show before, where I suggest that you actually deal with a couple, but that was prior to they tightened up the lending. You know, I'm going to share something with you. You look at these commercials on television and any other.
Do you still have commercials for reverse mortgages?
I don't know about reverse, but in retirement in general, and they show people traveling. And my wife and I were having this conversation. I said, that is not reality. That is so far from reality that if you were to, and I've been doing this for 35 years, and at one point in time I had over 300 clients that I worked with myself. And if I were to survey those clients and ask, how many of you plan on traveling in retirement internationally, outside of the U.S., that number would come in at less than 10%.
I believe it.
Right? And then if you ask, how many of you want to travel, get on a plane, visit New England if you're coming from the West Coast, or if you're coming from the East Coast, go to Hawaii, that number would be about 35%.
Yeah.
And what the reality is, a good, in my estimation, and talking to the clients, a good 50% of my 300 plus clients didn't want to travel at all. They didn't want to leave the house. They go to visit the relatives because the relatives.
Well, life's about relationships mostly.
That's right. It's not about that. And when you say it's really important, right? And I got that when we talked back in May, that it was really important for you to stay in that house. You were going to do anything you could to stay in that house, and this was the best option you had.
It was the best option we had, in my opinion. Just make sure you're not planning the movie.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that is 100%. If you do a reverse mortgage, it is done. That is, it's complete. Yeah, well, good for you.
We've been taking some of our money that we've been getting and saving and putting it back into the house, finally doing things to improve the house. Our son is in a great agreement. He's the one that would inherit the house at our death, and he's looked at some of the things we're doing. It's like, fine with me. It sounds great.
Yeah.
You know, building out your master bedroom and doing the things we wanted to do 20 years ago, but just didn't find the time or the money. So.
But even that isn't really spent money, because it adds value to the home, which means that the equity value would increase faster than it would normally.
My guess is your son would rather see you, his mother, have a good quality of life in retirement than to have a big inheritance.
Well, you'd hope your children.
One would hope.
One would hope. I would hope.
I think you hit the nail on the head.
One would hope. One would hope.
Well,
cool. I'm glad you went through the deliberation process you did, because what you don't want is cognitive dissonance after the fact, where you were questioning, did I do the right thing? Right? You did enough research on the front end, and you had enough discussions with your wife, and you weren't sold. By the way, you weren't sold a reverse mortgage. You bought one.
That's correct.
Right?
Our agent, and he even told me, you know, I'm an agent. I work for different companies. Your loan will be sold, and I will no longer be a part of it. He was not high pressure at all. I talked to him for months, and I always initiated the calls. Jim, can I ask you a question about this? Absolutely. And he would take the time at any time.
Oh, good.
Calls, emails.
Perfect.
There was never any high pressure, because you don't want to go through that.
Oh,
It is.
By the way, too, you do put your counseling on this.
Oh, absolutely. Independent.
Independent counseling.
Yes.
Independent counseling. Did we? So anyway, we do have a background, an understanding of reverse mortgages.
Well, I'm glad this all worked out.
Yes.
Because that upfront cost is like, it's shocking, and if that's all you focus on, if you don't focus on the benefit and only focus on the cost, you trip up and you can...
But without the cost, there wouldn't be the program.
I understand. Right? They can't compare it to a regular mortgage.
Yeah, because they can come and take your home in a regular mortgage.
Well, you gotta make the payments.
And here they can't take your home unless you miss the tax payments. And by the way,
Don't miss the tax payment.
don't miss the tax payment. Don't miss. Make sure that there's taxes and insurance paid.
Absolutely.
Well, good for you.
Thank you for coming back and telling us how it worked out. Well, we've been doing this show for so long. I always wonder, do people ever take our advice? Or
Yeah. So thanks, man. I'm glad you took the time. And it's interesting that, so we've started to add these house calls in periodically to revisit a call we've had. And as I'm thinking about it, I have someone in our organization reaches out to these people. I have no idea which ones say, "Oh no, I didn't take any of their advice." So maybe Matt's an anomaly.
maybe we should talk to the producer of the show and see, why don't we get people on the program that didn't take our advice and why? And we get comments like, well, I thought you guys were a couple of idiots, so I wasn't going to take your
That
advice.
might be more entertaining. I hadn't thought about that.
All right, Jason, our producer, is listening.
Yeah.
Consider that, Jason.
Yeah. Well, let's take some more calls here. Let's talk with Marie in California. Marie, you're with All Works Money Matters.
Hi there.
Hi, Marie.
Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing?
Good. Good.
So I have a kind of maybe simple question, but kind of generic question. So I'm 57, and last year my company decided to let me go. And I've had, some health issues anyway, so I decided I'll just, retire early. I have enough savings and kind of deal with my health for a little bit for a few years and see what happens. Fast forward, 10 months later, I actually love being retired.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if I'm going to go back. But aside from having enough savings and just living within my means, are there any other things that I need to worry about? Like, retiring early, I know that one of the things is health insurance is really expensive because I'm not 65 yet. But are there other things that
where do you get your health insurance?
I'm doing COBRA right now from the company, but I might switch over to, the Affordable Health Care Act, maybe.
Okay.
And that might help me because
Do you receive a pension at all?
No pension. So I'm just living off of my dividends and my interest and, whatever the market appreciates in my brokerage accounts.
And how much do you have in your brokerage account?
My brokerage account about $800,000, and it's like more or less like maybe 70% stocks and some 30% like in treasuries and some bonds and stuff.